Good morning. Welcome to the Martin Houston Show on Tide 100.9 on your radio dial. The Martin Houston Show fan page can be found at Martin Houston Live on Facebook as well as Martin Houston Live on YouTube. You can also follow us at Martin Houston 35 on Twitter and at Tide 109 on Facebook as well. We're live and local and glad to be back with you once again for another edition of the Martin Houston Show, the sound of Bama sports. Your show, your team. I want to invite you to get in on the conversation at 205 342 9904. 205 342 9904. The Taco Casa hotline is open for business. Would love to get your thoughts on a toss-up Thursday since I've not been here for this week. Glad to be back with you, and so may do a little review of what you've talked about this week, but also want to bring some fresh ideas, thoughts to what's happening in the sports world. So go ahead and get ready to get in on the conversation. Remember that this is the day that the Lord has made, so let's rejoice and be glad in it. Take some time today to notice someone, love someone, serve someone, be the difference you want to see in the world today. Good morning, Joe. How you doing, sir?
Oh, I'm doing great today, Martin. Happy to be back in here and happy to hear you back in here. You feeling okay?
I'm feeling better, better and better. Slowly but surely. There's the after glow, if I can use that word, of COVID. I think I'm past all of the serious stuff, but slowly transitioning back in and rolling back into my normal routine. So I appreciate you and the team stepping in and taking care of things over the past few days. Thanks to all of the well wishes that I got from you as well as our listeners and our callers. So glad to be back, man. Definitely, this is my second bout with COVID, and my wife and I, both went through this one a lot easier. It's kind of funny, Joe. It's all about perspective. When people said, "How you feeling?" And compared to the last time, I don't think I've been sick. Remember the last time I was out 18 days with it, and fever wouldn't go away, and and had all those things. So yeah, it doesn't even feel like I've had anything this time compared to the last. But glad to be back, and like I said, thank you and the team so much for stepping in and filling in. So um, definitely want to get back to the swing of things, though. Not don't like being cooped up in the house, especially for multiple days with very little to do. Anyway, lots have happened in the sports world since the last time I was on. Last time I was on, we had not heard where some of the guys had landed, and so I do want to have that. I do want to talk to the Bama Nation about my thoughts on where some of those guys have landed, and and where some of them may end up. We still got several out there, and where they may end up landing as well. And then, of course, big basketball game last night. So we're looking for the good, bad, and ugly from last night's basketball game in terms of what happened with the Alabama Crimson Tide. Also, Georgia got interesting confirmation yesterday, and I had talked to some Georgia fans last week because that's going to kind of be probably our theme of watching the Georgia Bulldogs in this offseason as they now have replaced, remember the off seasons, Joe, of times past, we would be very in tune with what was Clemson doing because that's who appeared to be, the arch nemesis and would prevent Alabama from making another run. And now that appears to be Georgia, and Georgia getting some big news. And well, I guess it's really based on who you are. Some Georgia fans may think it's big news. Some that I spoke to were not happy with the news of Stetson Bennett coming back. So we'll see how Kirby manages that quarterback room. He has managed in a lot of ways to have a lot of issues in the quarterback room, but yet the most unlikely scenario and most unlikely quarterback of all that he has recruited or re-recruited got him to that, you know, national title level. So we're going to talk about that. And then I know been some coaching changes, Joe, and I know you wrote an article on one, and he's a very interesting scenario. You wrote an article yesterday, or at some point yesterday, or maybe you may have been even writing this morning, but Coleman Hutzler um, coming to, according to his Twitter, nothing official on this side, I don't think, from Alabama, but he's going to be the outside linebackers coach and special teams coach. Did you find that an interesting tweet from a coach who currently sits on the Ole Miss staff, uh, announcing that he's coming to the Tide?
Yeah, Martin. Both of those roles are currently filled right now. Drew Svoboda being the special teams coordinator, and our friend Salson Seri being the outside linebackers coach. And Svoboda not a ton of history with us, just the one season. But Salson Seri, oh man, he's got a long-standing relationship with Coach Saban. It's going to be interesting to me to see, if both coaches are gone or if they're shuffling roles, or how Coach Saban is going to manage the roles, manage the responsibilities for the coaching staff. If this guy is coming in to actually coach special teams and outside linebackers, that's what he says, and that's what his background is.
Yeah.
Well, that's great for him, awesome. But I'm interested to see what happens with the coaches that reportedly are already in that role.
Yeah, we got some interesting things to look at that. And as soon as I saw the article, and if you want to read the article and get more detail on Coleman Hutzler, who has tweeted out that he has been hired by Alabama Crimson Tide, nothing official on this side yet, from coaching and positions, and he listed two positions, as Joe just said, that are currently staffed. Um, and I can easily see the special teams thing being one that's not that big a deal because Voda, he already has two roles, so he would stay as the tight ends coach, and there's nothing to worry about, right? Because he's um, tight end and uh, special teams. But if he's an outside linebacker coach, could Sal Sunseri be? And this is a question I asked 3 years ago when he came on, Joe. Was he ready to put this grind in at his age? And not that he's old, but at this stage in his career, and he was, and he's proven to be a very valuable asset in terms of who and what he's coached and what he's done in the development of the players. I would say he's done as good a job, Joe, with young talent as anybody on this staff. Of course, when you have a Will Anderson, it makes you a great coach. But he also brought Dallas Turner along. He had Drew Sanders playing at a good level after losing a senior, at a high level after losing senior Christian Allen. So Chris Allen. So um, and he's just been the two stints he was here. He's been a guy that I think the players really like, Joe. So, but it does appear that he may very well, be moving and changing, not necessarily getting fired, because Nick Saban said he's never fired anyone. But I would not be surprised if South Cincinnati has some type of off the field role. Is that what you're leaning toward? That he potentially is going to some type of off the field role?
Well, you've seen Coach Saban do this in the past with a lot of coaches that he loves. Or Joe Pendry moved into an off the field role after his on field coaching was done, and obviously made some news stepping back into the limelight this year a couple times. Same for Burton Burns. Now Burton went on to the Giants, and I'm not sure what he's going to be doing. Same for Bobby Williams as well. So we've seen Coach Saban do that a number of different times with coaches that he loves and coaches that he trusts. I think I don't want to lose Sal Sunseri, and if his on-field coaching days are done, I think that'd be a great move for him to be an off the field role, mentoring some of these coaches and just kind of overseeing and advising the program.
Yeah, and there's a lot of other coaching potential news and stuff, Joe, that we could get into. And when you look at the fact that it's also rumored that Travarius Robinson, former Auburn player, former um, DB coach, has moved around a little bit. Same way with Hutzler, who comes via Texas, and a Las Vegas guy, and so when you start looking at these coaches, Javaris Robinson supposedly going to take Coach uh, Valai position, who headed out to Oklahoma. Um, Nick Saban also seems to be preparing Joe to compete against the recruiting that may ensue with Lanning heading out to Oregon. I think Hutzler helps us in that regard. And then, of course, Robinson is a Miami native, and we know what we lost down in Miami. So not only does it appear that Nick Saban is getting some coaches that compete, that can help us from on the field, but also in the recruiting world, as both of these guys are tied with a Muschamp as well, having coached with both of them. Both having some either defense coordinator or co-defense coordinator. So once again, he's stacking the box for our defense to help Pete Golding with experienced guys. But let me ask you this, Joe. With the firing up in New York, have you been anxiously waiting to see what would happen with the likes of Burns and Pruitt and Joe and all of those guys? I mean, because I think there was three guys from the Giants team that had direct on the field uh, and or high analyst connections with Nick Saban. Um, I've heard that Pruitt was even interested in having conversations, regardless of what the role would be.
Yeah, you look at the Giants: Joe Judge, Jeremy Pruitt. They've got Jody Wright, Burton Burns. Oh my gosh, I'm missing one off the top of my head, but yeah, you've got a huge staff right there that all connected to Alabama. It's kind of a wait and see for who is the like that was what was surprising yesterday. We haven't really outside of Jay Valai lost any
Right.
coach, but Jeremy Pruitt, the fan base loves him, and he loves Alabama. I don't really think the SEC is going to allow him to kind of get back into coaching quite yet. But
Right.
Burt Burns, we'd love to have you back. Jody Wright, those guys have done great things here in Alabama. And I think they'd be a great candidates if Coach Saban ends up losing more guys.
Yeah, and it's going to be interesting to watch and see how Nick Saban maneuvers that. And as you say, Pruitt's probably not going to get back on the field directly. So, what better way, if he wants to get back in the SEC, what better place than for him to come and sit out and chill out and help Alabama get better on defense than here? And of course, Burton Burns becomes the Joe Pentry, Joe Pendry. It's just he would be a great asset to have around. Of course, if what we're talking about happening, Joe, we'll have Sal Cesari, Joe Pendry, and Burton Burns and Pruitt all in off the field roles. Our off the field staff may be better than our on the field staff at that point. So that'd be a lot of pressure for the guys that's on the field if that combination were to come together. Now, this is something that we'll probably get into in the off season, but we're going to go ahead and get the break here. But I do want to throw this out there. One of the questions was one of the biggest questions you had from this football season. Was it around Billingsley? And did Billingsley, when we had the sudden change at tight end coach, and Graham and all of that, and then the new tight end coach and the vaccine. Did all the off the field stuff impact him? Was there a problem with the new transition with Zavoda as the as the tight end coach. Did that hurt Billingsley, and will he go out to Texas and potentially get back in an environment where he feels loved and wanted, and have a great offseason? So we'll talk about that as we move throughout the offseason. But coming back on the other side, I do want to talk a little basketball. You watched the Alabama Crimson Tide stop the skid. It was a must-win, in my opinion, for this team. What was the good, bad, and ugly that you saw from that game? We're taking your phone calls at 205-342-9904, 205-342-9904.
Tide 100.9 traffic. From the Townsend Nissan Traffic Center, no active wrecks. Things pretty quiet on the roadways this morning. Now watch out for standing water. It has been raining overnight. If you see conditions, give me a call. 205-886-8886. Come see the tremendous selection of pre-owned vehicles now with prices slashed at Townsend Nissan. They're your hometown dealer. And I'm Captain Ray.
Work is a part of all of us. We know that the world around us has changed, and that's why the Alabama Department of Labor is here to get you back to working hard. Work is a part of all of us. Let us help you get back to it by visiting your local career center or alabamaworks.alabama.gov. Funding provided by the USDOL, ETA, and NOWIOA, and Equal Opportunity Employer Program. Auxiliary aids and services available upon request. Brought to you by this station and the Alabama Broadcasters Association.
Ask big.
Have you seen our artisan-created diamonds? If you've been in a room with one, you can't miss it.
Tom Osmond from Fincher and Osmond.
It's a diamond like I've never seen.
And he's seen a lot of diamonds.
Ask big.
At Fincher and Osmond, you can put artisan-created diamonds side by side with mined diamonds. When you see it,
More importantly, when she sees it.
FincherandOsmond.com.
McFarland Boulevard between Edgar's and Local Roots.
I can go from 0 to 60 way too fast.
Who knew electric vehicle owners were having so much fun?
20 or 30 years ago, I owned a gas sports car, and this car is much quicker.
It's a great, fun car to drive. When you put your foot on the accelerator, it just goes.
They're fun, they're fast, they're efficient.
Visit driveelectricalabama.com to learn how you can start having fun driving an electric vehicle.
Sponsored by the Alabama Clean Fuels Coalition, the ABA, and this station.
Your local Staples is saying thanks in a big way. Right now, earn a $30 Staples store bonus when you spend $100 in store. Get custom printing or signage for your business, earn a $30 bonus. Get the latest tech, earn a $30 bonus. Get supplies for your classroom, earn a $30 bonus. It's that easy. Set yourself up for success in the new year by exploring what's new at Staples, the working and learning store. Limit 1 ends 1/22. Rewards members only. Bonus must be redeemed in store. See staplesconnect.com/store bonus for details.
Tide 100.9 Tuscaloosa weather.
The weather turning much colder today. Cloudy with rain ending by midday. Temperatures will fall into the 30s. For tonight and tomorrow, mostly cloudy and cold. The low tonight 26, the high tomorrow 40. Saturday, a sunny day with a high at 48. I'm James Spann on the ABC 3340 Weather Center on Tide 100.9. It's 44 degrees in Tuscaloosa.
Scott Smith and Sophomart Design, doing business for 17 plus years, specializing in graphic design services, commercial printing, promotional products, advertising specialties, and so much more. Basically, any and everything you would need to advertise, promote, and grow your business. Through strong partnerships, strong customer service, and creative ideas, they'll help you market and grow your business. Give Scott a call at 205-292-4680 or email scottis@comcast.net and visit them online at sophmartdesign.com.
Interact with the Martin Houston Show by calling us at 205-342-9904 or tuning into the Martin Houston Show on Facebook.
Good morning. Welcome back into the Martin Houston Show. Getting things rolling once again. Want to thank the great folks over at Alabama One. Alabama One Insurance. Alabama One Credit Union. Go to alabama1.org. Got great credit card promotion and a home equity line HELOC promotion going. Both of those are going to help you stop the impact of interest rates on your finances. So stop that flow, slow it down. Go to alabama1.org and take advantage of our credit card balance transfer and or our home equity line of credit promotion, alabama1.org. I want to apologize to my listeners. getting things rolling back this morning. I had some issues with both my online chat and my chat back with the studio. So I've had a couple callers. Going to try to run through you guys pretty quick. So please be patient with me this morning. Let's go to Curtis Lewis. Curtis, you're in with the Martin Hughes Show. What's on your mind, sir? Is Curtis still there? All right. Let's try Robert from Mobile. Robert, you're in with the Martin Hughes Show. What's on your mind, sir?
Hey, good man. Well, welcome back.
Glad to be back, sir. Glad to be back.
Hey, with Georgia and their Stetson Bennett, I think he's turning into the next Hunter Renfro. Kind of seems like he's been in college forever.
Yeah, when I was someone was talking to me, I was like, he still has another year. They were like, yeah. So, yeah, he seems like he's been playing for quite a while. So, but
yeah, I guess well, and I know his NFL prospects probably aren't all that high, so I guess he might as well enjoy college while he can.
Yeah.
It looks like with J.T. Daniels, though, he's definitely leaving. I guess he has to if Stetson Bennett's coming back.
Well, yeah, Stetson Bennett beat out 2 5-stars to retain the job this year, plus Carson Beck, the Georgia quarterback who was at one point committed to Alabama, decommitted from Alabama. Word is that he's going to hit the transfer portal as well. And then they have a young man named Brock Vandergriff, who's a 5-star freshman. And they said that people wanted Bennett to leave so that they could get to their next quarterback. But you're going to be interested to see how Kirby handles that.
Yes, it will be. I don't blame them when they get their next quarterback. Stetson Bennett's the kind of quarterback that needs an elite defense to keep the other team's offense honest and then check so he can have an opportunity to come back.
Yeah.
The Alabama, like you said earlier, Alabama hadn't lost our 2 best receivers. The same thing was going to happen to Georgia.
Yeah,
again,
I agree.
4 for 30 points, and then he can't handle that kind of pressure.
I agree.
That can take when that team scored 4 for 30 points, the way Alabama offense did with Mac Jones. We didn't need that. Mac Jones at all. That offense didn't need an elite defense to keep everybody under 30 points. But Stetson Bennett does. So we'll see how well can that defense do that next season? Every game?
And I have not looked at I hadn't looked at the Georgia roster, but a Georgia fan told me they had 9 guys that were gonna leave for sure, and they could end up being like Alabama, where they have even more than that leave from that first rotation of their defense. So their defense this year is what Alabama's offense was last year. In terms of, and so.
Is he going to return that kind of a defense next season? Is everybody going to be under 30 points that every victory you get?
Probably not. Probably not. I think replacing an offense in today's culture is a lot easier than replacing a top-notch defense in today's culture. So Georgia could have an interesting year next year. That's the reason they may want to make a transition to a more electric version of a quarterback. Hey, you got anything else for us? Got to get to the next call. You got anything else?
Yeah, just real quick, like you said about Billy. Yeah, it's totally possible he can, ball out for Texas when he gets there. It's just really disappointing that he took a step backwards at Alabama for whatever reason, but it is what it is. I would love to have a 3-peat against Georgia next year, but I don't think they'll make the SEC championship game. So a 3-peat may not be in the cards. Because I would definitely want my second with my revenge on.
All right, thanks, Robert. Appreciate it. Alan, you're in with the Martin Houston Show. What's on your mind, sir?
How you doing this morning, Martin?
Doing good.
I understand that you've been sick, but I need you to step the game up a little bit. We need to talk to somebody about getting O'Brien a head coaching job out at County High. I don't care if it's at Simpson Valley. I don't care if you go back to the NFL. But you got to step the game up.
Okay, so you need me to start hire Bill O'Brien campaign?
Hey, whatever we got to do. Whatever we got to do.
Oh my goodness! So that's interesting because this is the one year that we don't have somebody that we know on staff that will replace him. But you're willing to take that chance, huh?
Hey, I'm with him to go out there and get the head coach at Hoover to be offensive.
Hey Joe, have you heard anything else on Bill O'Brien and whether or not I know I heard that it wasn't looking good for him to be the Jacksonville guy, so I don't know. There's like 8 or 9 openings right now. So I've not heard anything. So I know that he was in the lead for the Jacksonville before the season ended, but I have not heard anything. So Alan, we'll keep working on that. Now, Alan, I hadn't put on the prayer list. So you telling me I need to put on the prayer list?
Prayer list, please.
That's too funny. What else you got, man?
That's it. I'm a truck driver. I'm up here in Chicago, and it's cold.
Oh man, I bet it is. It is definitely nippy, and we're having a little reverse today. It's not that warm. I mean, not that cold right now, and we're supposed to be going down in our temperature as the day goes along versus up. So maybe some of that cold from up that way is falling down this way.
Yeah, I grew up in Fayette, so I'm just right down the road from you. So
okay. Yeah. So, well, we appreciate you, man. You stay safe out there on that road, and thanks for what you do in your portion of trying to help us with this supply chain, sir. We appreciate you.
Not a problem. You have a good day.
All right, thanks. All right. Oh man, that's so interesting. Joe, have you had a lot of calls over the last couple of days regarding O'Brien? He's an interesting point of conversation. We hadn't really talked much about him since the season was over last week, but we'll get to that as we move along. We got Pat who's holding for Hank, so we're going to go ahead and get the break here, get Hank South on. We'll talk to him a little bit about the transfer portal, recruiting, etc., and the impact that it's having on Alabama football and basketball, as well as we'll finish up the show hopefully with a little basketball, good, bad, and ugly. Thank you so much for being a part of the Martin Houston Show. Remember, we're able to do this because we have such great sponsors, and we ask you to support those great sponsors. None any better or more faithful than Taco Casa, tacocasa.com. Go check them out. 6 locations in Tuscaloosa and West Alabama to better serve you. And, of course, they sponsor the Taco Casa hotline each and every day right on your home for Alabama Sports Talk 100.9. This is the Martin Houston Show.
Tide 100.9 traffic. From the Townsend Nissan Traffic Center, no active wrecks. Things pretty quiet on the roadways this morning. Now watch out for standing water. It has been raining overnight. If you see conditions, give me a call. 205-886-8886. Come see the tremendous selection of pre-owned vehicles now with prices slashed at Townsend Nissan. They're your hometown dealer. And I'm Captain Ray.
Hello, this is Martin Houston with the Martin Houston Show, and I want to tell you about one of our great sponsors, Overflow Express Wash. Their mission is to provide great customer service with a showroom clean car and an exceptional customer service experience. They have the basic car wash that starts at $7, but you need to check out the premium wash packages, which start as low as $12 and go up to $20. They also have a membership wash club that you can get for starting at $23.99, going up to $39.99. In other words, just double the regular premium package, drop a penny, and you are one of the members of Overflow Express Wash. My family and I keep our cars looking good inside and out by using Overflow Express Wash. They're located on Skyland Boulevard right next door to Alabama 1, or you can find them online at overflowexpresswash.com. Andy Phillips and his team look forward to making you a part of their team.
Susan, it's so great to finally be able to get together again.
Oh, it sure is. And I really appreciate you picking up the bill.
I'm happy to. I've got the extra cash. Since we've all been driving so much more again, I've been using Get Upside, the free gas app that pays you cash back for every gallon of gas gas you buy.
Wait a minute. Are you saying you actually get paid cash when you buy gas with the Get Upside app?
Yes, up to 25 cents a gallon. Cash back every time I buy gas.
Does that actually add up to anything?
Some months I make $200 to $300.
Wow, that's serious extra cash. I'm downloading the free Get Upside app now.
Download the free Get Upside app now in the App Store or Google Play to save up to 25 cents a gallon when you buy gas. Use promo code PHIL for a 25 cents a gallon bonus on your first tank. That's up to 50 cents a gallon on your next fill-up. You can cash out anytime to PayPal or an e-gift card for Amazon and other brands. Just download the free Get Upside app and use promo code PHIL for a 25 cents a gallon bonus on your first tank. That's code PHIL.
Nick Saban calls it the process. John Maxwell said that everything rises and falls on it. And Coach Wooden said it's what you learn after you think you know it all that makes the difference. What am I talking about? Leadership and personal development. Is your organization, your school, your church, your family, are they receiving the proper level of leadership development and personal development? If not, the Empowerment Center for Leadership and Mentoring can help you with that. We have our pep talks, which is a 1 to 1.5 hour lunch and learn, which we can customize to meet your needs, or we have some topics that we present that we know can help your organization. And if you're looking for one-on-one mentoring and coaching, we can also assist you with that. Visit peptalks35.com, that's peptalks35.com, or send an email to martin@martinhouston.org. That's the Empowerment Center for Leadership and Mentoring.
Welcome back to the Martin Houston Show, the sound of Bama sports. Your show, your team, on your home for Alabama sports. Tide 100.9 and streaming on the Tide 100.9 app.
Welcome back into the Martin Houston Show. It is a beautiful Thursday morning, and I am glad to be back behind the mic, having dealt with COVID, my wife and I. Thank you for all your prayers, well wishes, and concerns there. We're glad to be back, slowly getting back to full speed, so please continue to lift us up in your prayers, and we'll continue to lift you up. A lot of COVID going around out there right now. Of course, as we went to break there was some conversation around get rid of Bill O'Brien, and Kirsch Moore II saying, why roast him? Who would we get to replace him? That's a great question. One that hasn't got a lot of conversation around, but I will not be surprised to see Bill O'Brien and Marrone back at the NFL level. Didn't hear a lot regards Marrone, O'Brien, or Sunseri on the recruiting trail. So I'm going to talk to, don't remember hearing their name a whole lot. And, you know, that's one of Nick Saban's KPIs, key performance indexes. So don't be surprised that those guys don't leave for that reason alone, much less a head coaching opportunity at the college and or NFL level. But we got Hank South 247 Sports, Bama Online Recruiting on with us. Good morning, Hank. How you doing, sir?
Hey, good morning, Martin. I'm good. How are you?
I'm good. Recovering and getting back to full strength. So glad to be on with you this morning. Thanks so much for what you do to add great content to the Martin Houston Show each and every Thursday. I probably don't say thank you enough, but really appreciate that. As we get started, I have several questions for you, but Pat's been holding patiently, so I'll let him start things off on the recruiting question trail. Pat, you're on with Hank South 247 Sports, Bama Online Recruiting. What you got for him?
And I hope you've been able to stay away from this COVID, Martin, and I have not. But anyway, man, I want to talk to you about Alabama coaching trips to Louisiana. What's going on down in the Manning camp? From what I'm hearing, that Alabama is hot on the trail. What's going on?
Yeah, they are. Actually, Alabama is expected to be in to see Arch Manning tomorrow, Friday, for their evaluation of him. With the coaches being able to be out on the road right now, obviously can't speak to him, in person at this stage since he's still 2023. But can go make an appearance, see him, watch him work out, do all that. So certainly, a big moment. Plenty of coaches have been in to see him so far this week. Alabama, Georgia, Ole Miss, Texas, Georgia. I said Georgia. The schools you'd expect. I think Florida saw him as well. But he's still taking the process slow. He doesn't talk a lot about recruiting at all. I'm not even sure he's really put out a list of favorites or anything. I think everyone's kind of just whittling it down to following the visits and seeing where he's leaning. But Alabama's in it. They had him in town for the Ole Miss game last fall. They've been keeping in consistent contact with him. Pete Golding's the area recruiter there. He's done a really good job. Obviously, the family's very impressed with Alabama and everything they've been able to do. So they're right there in it. I don't know if there's a favorite at this point. I think some people think he's going to go to Georgia. Obviously some people think Ole Miss. That makes a lot of sense. And Alabama's in it too. So that'll be one of the main recruitments we're watching. This spring and summer.
Okay. What about the possibility of being Coach Saban's swan song? That I really, that's what I'm kind of thinking. That perhaps Arch Manning could be Coach Saban's swan song. What do you think about that?
Is swan song like your finale? Is that what that means?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Maybe,
for that 3-peat.
Yeah. I don't think that's being talked about on the recruiting trail. I think that's not kind of what they're pitching, but I guess that's a possibility.
Before you go, I do want you to pray for my grandson. My 18-month-old has tested positive for COVID. He's at the hospital with 103 fever. And anyway, little fellas like that, people don't understand these people that won't mask up. And I know you and I have been wearing masks and things and doing what we can do, and it's still going around. But even every little bit helps.
Yep, I definitely would lift him up in our. We'll definitely be praying for little man and everyone that are dealing with COVID, mild and or severe. We'll lift them up in prayer. We're speaking with Hank South, 247 Sports, Bama Online Recruiting. Interesting scenario. You just said that Georgia may be the leader. Is that what you said?
I'm not saying that.
Okay.
I've been picking Georgia. I think, on prediction things, Georgia's been a popular pick. Texas has been a popular pick at one point before they got Quinn Ewers. I think Bama at some point probably too. So it's kind of anyone's guess at this point. He's keeping things pretty low key as far as
Yeah, it would be interesting. I guess I would ask you this: kind of, you may or may not, since it's not your normal area, you may or may not be able to speak to it, and I understand. But Stetson Bennett coming back, JT Daniels 5-star gone, Brock Vandagriff is the was of course recruited to be the heir apparent to JT Daniels. Both of those guys behind Stetson Bennett. So does Kirby run Stetson out there one more time to leave a clean slate for Mr. Arch Manning with what you just said? What type of player is the Vandagriff, if you remember his recruitment?
Yeah, he played. I think he like private school ball, so
Okay.
he had pretty. I mean, I think he broke Georgia records. I mean, he's a pretty good player.
Yeah.
I think everyone questioned kind of the talent he was going up against, which I think there's more opposing fan bases doing that than Georgia. But I mean, he's crafty. He's got a lot of arm. He's definitely solid prospect. But yeah, that'll be interesting to see. It was amazing kind of seeing the reaction of Georgia fans yesterday when Stetson Bennett announced he was returning. It wasn't a lot of excitement. It doesn't seem like.
Right.
At the same time, we saw Jermaine Burton, who was their pretty much top receiver outside of George Pickens this year, announced that, or George Pickens and Brock Bowers, but Jermaine Burton announced he was going in the transfer portal. So people were saying, he's looking for another quarterback to play with. Stetson Bennett coming back. So interesting reaction from the Georgia fan base yesterday with that announcement. But yeah, that could be ultimately a good recruiting pitch for Arch Manning. If JT Daniels obviously is out in the transfer portal, what happens with these other kids that are coming in? I think they have Gunnar Stockton as well in the 2023 class, or coming in the 2022 class. So we'll see kind of how those dominoes fall. If there's a clear pathway to being the starter after Stetson Bennett, following next season. So a lot of moving parts. Obviously, the transfer portal makes things a lot more interesting, and a lot more variables in play.
Yeah, I can see that they have about 8 quarterbacks at Georgia, but at least a couple of them are probably headed out. But let me ask you a couple questions in regards to Alabama and 2022. I know we've talked about them moving on to the transfer portal per se. This is kind of a two-part question. Has Alabama offered anyone else in the 2022 class from a need position or a loss position? And if a kid has signed a name, image, and likeness letter in the early signing period, but has not enrolled, can he get out of that letter and still sign with one of the other schools? Or is that are they locked in for a year?
Yeah. So Alabama actually, it's funny you say that today. Alabama did. It kind of looked like they might be done with 2022 in terms of high school recruiting. Obviously they're always looking in the portal. But yesterday on Wednesday, Alabama offered Danny Lewis, who's a 3-star tight end from Louisiana. We actually had mentioned him last week as a guy. They were kind of talking to him, maybe setting up a visit for. But yesterday they extended the offer. He decommitted from Cincinnati, or I think last week or maybe the week before.
Yeah.
Recently, decommitted from Cincinnati. LSU, Florida have been the 2 schools mentioned most with him since he reopened his recruitment. Then, of course, Alabama got in the mix yesterday. He's actually expected to officially visit Alabama this weekend. So they will have a high school prospect, or are expected to have a high school prospect on campus this weekend for an official visit. So far, he's the only prep guy we're keeping an eye on in terms of the guys they're still going after. Obviously, other guys could surface. I don't anticipate anybody at this point, but he's one, and obviously, tight end position. We saw Billingsley leave for the transfer portal. We saw Jaleel Skinner flip to Miami in the early signing period. So makes sense that that they could be pursuing another tight end in this class to kind of bolster that tight end room with what they have coming back and who they have signed. So that's a guy we're watching. And then in terms of your NIL question, I'm not really sure, because I think the NIL stuff would be more geared towards who they signed it with and whether that could be whatever the details of whatever they signed, because the NIL is completely separate from the actual school. I don't think it's binding towards the school. It'd be whatever would be binding towards whatever company or business they sign and what they could do there. So
I asked that incorrectly. I meant the National Letter of Intent, NLI, instead of NIL. NLI, National Letter of Intent. I scribbled my letters there. So their National Letter of Intent to attend the university. Can they get out of that?
I think pretty much, if they wanted. I'm not even sure what letters of intent even mean anymore. If the transfer, if you're allowed to immediately play the next year. So I think so. If they wanted to, I haven't heard of anybody questioning their decisions so far on that. We've seen it in the past. Guys like, obviously Ale Cajo. That was a guy that in the 2018 class came from Washington right before the season started. We've seen it before with Brew McCoy. He had signed with Texas, then changed his mind, went back to USC. So it's possible, but I haven't heard of any situations where that's kind of unfolding.
Yeah, I think we may see that happen some down the road as guys sign based on who's on a roster, and then all of a sudden guys going to the portal and another school becomes a better fit. I mean, would Skinner have signed here had he known Billingsley was out? Don't know that or not, but with the recent rumored hirings by Alabama, I ask you a question: what is Alabama getting? I know we're going out to Travarius Robinson, Miami native, played coach down in that area. What is Alabama getting in him and Coleman Hutzler as recruiters?
Yeah, it's big news on Wednesday night with those two stories breaking. T-Rob, Travarius Robinson is an incredible. I mean, both these guys are incredible recruiters. You can click on their 24/7 page and kind of look at their history of who they've landed, the top recruiters they've landed at different stops. He was the primary recruiter for Jordan Burch just a couple years ago when he was at South Carolina, the 5-star defensive tackle that Bama was also pretty hard after trying to land as well. So he's been able to land him at South Carolina. When he was at Florida, he landed the 5-star cornerback Vernon Hargraves. He was the number 1 cornerback in the country, number 3 overall player. He's landed several 4-stars. He's been the secondary recruiter on several 5-stars. Tease DeBoer out of Florida, 5-star cornerback when he was there. Then just this past cycle when he was at Miami, Nigel Lee Kelly, he played a big role in keeping him on board in the class after they parted ways with Manny Diaz. So definitely a guy that really busted on the recruiting trail. Will be helpful wherever he's at. Whether it be South Florida, whatever they stick him, pretty much in terms of region. I think he's going to be a really big asset for Alabama on the recruiting trail. And then I think the same can be said for Coleman Hutzler, a name that we haven't really heard much about. We've heard a lot about T-Rob in the past, but Hutzler's been all over the place. He's been at Texas, South Carolina, Florida, Boston College. I think he's from Las Vegas originally, so he's been all over the country. But he's another guy that's landed big time recruits as a primary recruiter. When he was in South Carolina, he landed Zach Pickens as his main recruiter. He's a 5-star defensive tackle. Another guy that was recruiting pretty hard in that class of 2019. DJ Harris, when he was at Texas, a 4-star edge rusher. Terrence Cooks, a really impressive 4-star linebacker this past year when he was a couple cycles ago when he was at Texas. So he's another guy that I think relates really well with recruits. Really good with parents, really good with the high school coaches. And I asked our Texas guys, Mike Roach, about how he was as a recruiter, and he said authentic. So that's a big thing in this day and age with going after these kids. So if these 2 hires are announced, which we reported they're expected to be, I think that's two pretty massive additions, both on the field coaching and on the recruiting trail.
That's what I felt like. The recruiting trail was as much of anything when Saban, he usually knows guys he wants to go after when he has openings, and you just named, I think, why those guys probably got on his radar. They both landed head-to-head battles where they won out with guys that we really wanted. And so I'm sure Saban that probably caught his eye. Of course, we still have some openings that we still have some coaches in positions that we haven't let go yet, Hank. So we're going to have to watch that as well in terms of recruiting. Sal Sunseri is the outside linebacker coach. He's not been reassigned or let go. But I would say from a recruiting standpoint, with Sal, O'Brien, and Marone be kind of the lower guys in terms of that recruiting trail. And you don't have to comment on that. I do have a caller that just called in that wants to talk with you. So Tom, you're in with Hank South, 247 Sports, Bama Online Recruiting. What's on your mind, sir?
Hey, good morning, Mark. The rumor is South Third wants to retire. That's what I'm hearing, but I don't know. Hank, how are you this morning? And I've got a question. I know Art Manning is getting a lot of the publicity as far as quarterback recruitment, but in addition to Art, aren't there like 3, maybe 4 D1 high-rated quarterback prospects in the state of Louisiana this year? I mean, Arch is not the only high-rated quarterback coming out of Louisiana this year. Is that correct?
Yeah, there's another. His name is completely escaping me, but he's committed to Texas A&M. Oh my gosh, it's on the tip of my tongue. But he's a guy that Bama's been looking at as well. Hold on, I'm pulling this up because it's bothering me so bad. What is his name? I don't know why. I can't think of it right now.
Hey, why are you looking at? Take your time, Hank, and look that up. Tom, are you trying to say that that there may be another player available other than Arch Manning that can play the position in the 2023 class?
Hey, listen, this is what I'm hearing. I'm hearing there's up to as many as in this recruiting cycle that Arch is in, give or take a year. But there's a guy that comes Ryan Fowler's show every week. His name is Mike Detillier, and he's on top of all kinds of stuff in the state of Louisiana.
Yeah.
And he's the one that stated that there's 4, maybe 5 D1 quarterback prospects in the state of Louisiana in the same recruiting cycle that Arch Manning's in. Now, I don't know. I wanted the clarification because that's highly unusual, is it not?
Yeah, we see a ton of top guys coming out. The other guy's name I think is Eli Holstein. He's committed to Texas A&M. He's a top 100 quarterback in the state of Louisiana with Arch next cycle. I'm just going down the list. I just see Arch, Eli. There's Ricky Collins, the 4-star quarterback committed to Purdue. Reese Mooney, a 3-star quarterback committed to Vanderbilt. So there's a few guys that are on the rank sheet for the state of Louisiana. But yeah, I mean, Arch isn't the only guy Bama's after. I mean, they're after Nico Amilvela out of California, 5-star quarterback. Dylan Lonergan out of Georgia. So Arch is on their target list, but he's not the only guy they're going after.
Yeah, I just wondered if that was true. And I mean, I don't doubt Mike, but I thought, man, that's unusual. That's a lot of quarterback prospects in one recruiting cycle, even if it's like not this year, but the next. You know what I'm saying? Within a year. But anyway, thanks, Martin.
Thanks, Hank. Hey, we got to figure out what are these California schools doing now? I mean, they've always produced highly recruited quarterbacks, but now they seem to actually be panning out. So we can talk about that the next time we're up. But Hank, I know you have an article. I went and checked it after you mentioned it. I know you have an article up about the kid that Alabama offered, Daniel Lewis, decommit from Cincy, being on campus. You got a lot of other article even about the coaches at Alabama and what they're getting. Tell our listeners real quick where they can find you, sir.
Yeah, BamaOnline.com. Should be a fun weekend with visitors coming on campus. And we do a promo right now, first month for $1. So good time to sign up.
Yeah, great time to sign up. Great content. Some of the things that we talked about today, he goes in greater detail in his VIP section. Only place you can get that information is through Bama Online. And right now they got that great promotion going on. So go check them out. And a great follow to stay in the know at Hank South 247. That's at Hank South 247. Thanks, Hank. We'll catch up with you later, sir.
Yes, sir. Thanks, Martin.
All right. Hey, listen, we're going to go ahead and get out of here a little early today. Glad to be back with you. We didn't get to the basketball conversation, but that's okay. We can get to it tomorrow. We can talk about the basketball conversation as well as we'll, from last night's big win. Congratulations, 70-67 over number 13 LSU. Maybe Alabama makes it back into the poll and begin that ascent back up the top 25 as congratulations. And we'll talk about good, bad, and ugly as well as all things Alabama. We'll be back on tomorrow. Roll Tide. Remember this, trust in the Lord always. Lean not your own understanding. All your ways acknowledge him, and he will direct your path. Thanks, Joe, new intern, callers, listeners, chatters, and followers for another great day of Alabama sports.
Thank you for listening to the Martin Houston Show on your home for Alabama sports. Tide 100.9 and streaming
You
on
too,
the
Joe.
Tide 100.9 app.